Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Sydney Airport. For those of you who are new here, I'm Ron and today we'll be covering my short hop from Sydney to Ayers Rock Airport on board the classic Jetstar A320. In today's video, we'll take a look at what I would classify as one of the worst seats on board and see if it's really as bad as you might expect. With no windows nearby, directly next to a toilet door, and in front of the rear galley, how bad could it really be? Jetstar operates its domestic flights to and from Terminal 2 at Sydney Airport, along with Virgin Australia. The check-in process was extremely speedy for today's flight, with no queue for bag drop or security, and the whole process took us just under 15 minutes. Our aircraft today ended up being a 17-year-old A320 due to a last-minute equipment swap, when we were originally meant to be on a brand new A320neo. That's okay though, as the return leg we ended up being on that same A320neo. So I have that video linked here if you are interested. You might be pleasantly surprised by the new cabin. And it was good to get a comparison of the old versus the new. We ended up commencing boarding around 10 minutes behind schedule, and every single passenger had their baggage weighed as part of the boarding process, or else prior to the boarding process where they had some gate agents going around with a portable weighing scales. My seat today was 30C, which is the last row, and as you can see on the seat map, it appears that there is a toilet directly behind it. When I stepped on board, I was surprised to see that that toilet was actually in the rear galley. So behind me there was just a little wall with a window, as you can see, and then the other toilet was directly next to me. From doing a bit of research online, I did find out that this aircraft undertook a retrofit in 2011, and that appears to be when they added 3 additional seats. So I can only assume that is when that toilet shifted back into the galley. However, it was very unusual that none of the seat maps I could find online showed this change. Taking a look at the seat, I would give this a solid 3 out of 5 when comparing to other low-cost carriers, but the location of this specific seat gets it a 2 out of 5, and you'll see why. The legroom was relatively generous, given that there was no storage pouch at your knees. Then the table itself was large and sturdy. You did have a little bit of storage above the table, and then you did also have the option to recline a little bit as well, so it was relatively good. One more thing to highlight with the seat, which is pretty important and probably expected, but there is no charging outlets available. Unfortunately, given that there was no windows nearby, there is no takeoff or landing footage for this video, so we will just jump straight into the food menu. I do love a low-cost carrier food menu. I know you do pay a ridiculous price for the food, but it is always good just to order what you want, if you're even hungry that is, or else just bring your own snacks. You'll see what I ordered later on in the video, but try and take a guess. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you might be able to figure it out relatively easily. Once we got airborne, the cabin crew were straight down the aisles with the food service cart. It did appear that most of the aircraft had some kind of onboard credit, likely because they'd booked this flight as part of a holiday package, given that it is a relatively holiday-focused destination. Before the food cart made it down my direction, I decided to check out the toilet. I quickly realized that the toilet in the rear galley was actually out of order, which meant everybody towards the rear of the aircraft would be heading to the toilet right next to my seat, which was great news. Inside the toilet, it was pretty much as you'd expect for a low-cost airline like Jetstar. Really small, but relatively clean. Had your usual coat hook, the soap stolen from Qantas, and then a few tissues, air conditioning vent. Of course, it had the toilet and toilet paper. It was kept relatively clean, which was a positive, and it did serve its purpose. I was just eager to see if it would be heavily used during the flight. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't, but only time would tell. Back at my seat, I decided to look at the menu one last time, just to confirm what I wanted. And if anybody did guess, and you guessed it was going to be a toasty, you are correct. It was a toasty and a Pepsi Max. Similar to my toasty on board the A320neo, it was a little bit dry, but I'd still give it a solid 4 out of 5. It aligned with my expectations, and it was relatively tasty besides the dryness. After my toasty, I pretty much napped the entire flight, with the exception of waking up whenever someone would slam the toilet door or if there's people waiting by my seat. I would absolutely recommend you book any other seat on this plane outside of this row. Even if you're in the window seat, there's no window there, there's just no benefits, so just please book anything else. As we came into land, there was also this unusual leak from the galley. I'm not sure what it was, but you'll see it now in a second. It just pours out of one of the, I think it's one of the carts, I'm not too sure. Yeah, nice dodge by the cabin crew there.
Just off those.
Once again, everyone, please remain seated until the seatbelt sign has been switched on. Thank you.
Overall, this flight was okay. The main impact was the location next to the toilet. You don't want to have a smelly toilet blowing in your face every time someone closes the door, so please pick a different seat. The service from the crew was amazing, so they earned a 5 out of 5, and overall that brings the score to a 3.5 out of 5. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Please do consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and I will talk to you in the next one.